Hi, Sachin. Thank you so much for joining us today and doing this live with us. Just before we start, a quick introduction, of Sachit. So, Sachit Ahuja is the founder of Reps Fitness, which is a boutique personalized fitness training studio and sports nutrition consultancy studio based out of South Bombay. Their gym is at Hughes Road, and they have currently shifted to the online virtual model due to the pandemic. Also, giving a shout out to his wife and business partner Avanti. Sachit has done several courses in training and nutrition and has been in this industry for 10 years. So thank you so much again for joining us today. We're really grateful to have you and excited to talk to you more about our topic today, which is osteoporosis and fitness. Um, so just to begin with, just want to understand from you the link between exercise and osteoporosis.
So first of all, thank you for having me, Navya. It's good to be here. And you asked for the link between osteoporosis and fitness.
Yes.
So osteoporosis, this is in reference to what Dr. Soonawala covered with you guys.
Yes.
Osteoporosis, just to touch upon that, is real quick, is the weakening of the bones. Bones get brittle. It has many causes and factors. One of which is age, and of course, people as they get older are more likely to get osteoporosis. It's more common in women, but we can do what we can as people to kind of prevent osteoporosis by way of living a better lifestyle, eating well, which is what we'll touch upon briefly,
Right.
and exercising well to kind of push away the or save away the illness, to
Right.
essentially prevent getting it and prevent causing your bones to get brittle, and essentially lowering the risk of fractures as you get older.
Right. So you mentioned, the fact that nutrition and your lifestyle can have a big impact on osteoporosis and dealing with that as you grow older. So, are there any improvements that we can make to our overall fitness through simply nutrition and the things that we eat?
Yeah, absolutely. So the thing is, as we get into our 30s, we get into our physical prime. Well, actually, I stand corrected. As we get into our 20s and late 20s, we get into our physical prime, after which it is a very, very slow decline as we get older in terms of our fitness levels and in terms of our essentially our risk for getting osteoporosis. So if we eat well from a young age and going on as we live our years, we're more likely to lose muscle slower or essentially retain more muscle as we get older, and which has a direct link to bone strength. And of course, good nutrition can also lead to lowering the risk direct risk of the bones or the risk of osteopenia or osteoporosis.
Right.
Um, it helps you, like I said, maintain muscle and maintain your bone mass for a longer period as you get older.
Right. Are there any, kind of specific foods that one with osteoporosis or those who are at high risk should be looking at incorporating into their diet?
Uh, so there's two aspects to this. The one aspect is what you want to avoid consuming and what you want to avoid doing as you, of course, as you go on with your life.
Right.
In terms of you want to avoid smoking and drinking, which are just killers of the body, killers of your liver, your kidneys. They can cause indirect complications which can weaken the bones. They kill out your muscle tissue as well. And of course, processed foods with high amounts of sugar can have long-lasting effects for years to come. So that's the one aspect, is preventing foods that you don't want to be consuming and calories that you don't want to be consuming. The other
Right.
aspect is eating the right kinds of foods. That would entail having a diet rich in protein. So if you're a vegetarian, you want to resort to dairy for high quality protein, for your protein needs to maintain your bone strength and muscle mass,
Right.
because bones and muscles are directly dependent on protein. Bones are also obviously dependent on calcium rich foods, and foods that you can get vitamin D from. And of course, everyone knows you get most of your vitamin D from sunlight, or then because we don't get enough sunlight with our lifestyles, and because we don't get the amount of vitamin D that we need from the foods that we consume, the
Right.
best thing to do is to stay on a regular supplementation for vitamin D.
Okay.
So, just to reiterate, vitamin D rich foods, calcium foods, and protein rich foods, and not having all the bad stuff like processed foods,
Right.
alcohol, that kind of stuff. In terms of which also obviously buy into which I kind of overlap with just better general eating,
Right.
which these are things that also will help with preventing osteoporosis.
Right. Thank you for that. So, I think you're going to be showing us a couple of exercises in regards to osteoporosis, things that we can do to strengthen our core, our knees, and our back. So, would love to start with that, and you can obviously explain to us what each exercise is, what body part it is tackling, and how it's going to help.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, exercises are unlimited. Types of exercises are unlimited, but like we discussed, we're focusing on osteoporosis and we're focusing on the general target group, which is usually in this case, the primary type of osteoporosis, which is more to do with women and women of, a middle age or like, older women.
Right.
So we're going to focus our exercise approach to strength training, which is what helps the most with osteoporosis and general living, obviously.
Okay.
And we're also going to focus on the fact that we're primarily catering to women from middle age to older women, and generally focus on women who are working out from home with limited equipment
Okay.
at a beginner level. So that
Okay.
said, we're going to touch upon about 6 to 7 exercises.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to show you guys basic exercises that you guys can do at home to help prevent osteoporosis and to help strengthen the lower body, the lower extremities. We're going to focus on the ankle joints, primarily on the knee joints and the hips and the spine.
Okay.
So that would include the core and the lower body. And we're going to also cover one to two upper body basic exercises that you guys can do at home.
Okay. Amazing.
So starting off with, obviously you can guess this, the most basic exercise, which is the squat. And
Right.
as you guys can see, can you see the chair that I'm sitting on?
Yes.
So a chair of this standard height is what we can start off with, and if anyone is going to be following something, some kind of a similar routine, and if somebody is a little more of a beginner with regards to exercise, you can start with a chair that's a higher height. So
Okay.
you can use household props to potentially increase the height of the chair to start off with. So I'm going to push this back and show you guys the squat that you can do on the chair.
Okay.
So this is your prop, your chair right here for you. Okay. I'm gonna demo a few reps of the basic squat to you guys. You're gonna have the chair behind you. You're gonna stand with your feet under your shoulders. Your feet are in line, wide as my shoulders. It
Okay.
would be safer in case someone does have knee pain to go a little wider, potentially in stance. You're going to keep your feet absolutely flat. Your toes are going to be pointed out slightly because the hips are externally rotated.
Okay.
That's how our structure is, and that's how your body would prefer you to squat. Your back has to be straight. Now, one thing you got to keep in mind, everybody knows it's sitting down, getting up, but you want to move your hips and your knee joints simultaneously. So you're going to look straight, back straight. You can keep your arms straight ahead. You're going to
Okay.
sit back with the knees pointed out in line with the toes, touch, and go back up.
Okay.
Okay. We're going to do 2 or 3 more reps just for your reference. Like I said, hips and knees move simultaneously. Go down, touch, go back up. I'm going to give you a side profile of the same. Same
Okay.
thing. Get your feet right, toes slightly out, look straight, push your hips back, bend your knees simultaneously, touch, and go back up. Okay, so that
Okay.
covers the first exercise. You can
Okay.
scale this up by as you get fitter, as you get stronger, as you can potentially start off by just doing more reps and more sets of this. You can start off by doing like maybe 30 a day with breaks. You can eventually build it up to even 100.
Okay.
Beyond which, what I would strongly recommend is adding intensity, adding load to the exercise to essentially create more load and stress, the good kind of stress on your
Right.
joints and on your muscles, which will
Okay.
help you get stronger bones and muscles. So you can use any kind of a household prop, any kind of a bag, or if you have these available, you can use a dumbbell. This is a 5 kg dumbbell. You're going to
Right.
hold this close to your torso, never hold weights away from your torso, and do the exact same thing. You can sit down, touch, knees are out, and go back up. Of course, once you get comfortable with this, you can increase the weight. If you have limited weight to use, you can essentially engage your muscles and even your bones way more by just losing the chair. Obviously, going all the way down, maintaining the same form this way, lower and back up, doing more reps and sets. Okay, so
Okay.
that covers the basics of the squat and basic scaling options for the squat.
Okay.
Then we move on to a little more of the posterior, which would be the butt, the lower back muscles, and the hamstrings.
Right.
So I'm just gonna onto the floor for this one.
Okay.
Can you see me clearly?
Yeah.
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 So this is a floor exercise focused on the posterior lower body, the glute muscles or the butt muscles,
Okay.
the lower back or the erector muscles, and to an extent even the hamstrings. So what you're going to do, and even to a smaller extent the thigh muscles or the quads.
Right.
So you're going to lie on your back over here. You're going to keep your back arched and straight. Your arms are by your side, and with your
Sorry,
feet,
could you
can you see my feet?
Yes.
Yeah, your arms are by your side. You're gonna keep your back squeezed together, your shoulder blades. You're gonna press down with your heels, raise your butt, arms are by your side. You're gonna raise your butt all the way up, form the bridge. Okay, squeeze the butt, come down slow. Okay, you can increase the sets and reps as you go on. You can keep, for scaling, you can keep a slight kind of a cushion on your lap, which is where you can, for the dumbbells, you can keep the dumbbell or the load, your prop, whatever you use, on the lap, support it with your hands, and do the exact same thing to increase the load and the same movement. To
Okay.
take it a notch higher, if you're doing it with a load and if you're doing it at a slightly more advanced level and you're doing lots of reps and you want to increase the intensity, you can even take it, essentially make it twice as hard by doing the exact same thing with one leg crossed over the thigh like this. So
Okay.
essentially, with my right leg down here, I'm going to be focusing on the right side unilaterally, which also helps with balance and stability. So it's the same thing this way. To make that harder, you can suspend the leg, do the exact same thing.
Okay.
So you can do the same number of reps and sets on each side. Okay.
Okay.
And even to take it a step further, to increase not just your strength, but to increase your mobility and yeah, to also increase your strength on this exercise, you can shift this over from the floor to the couch. So Avanti is just going to point the camera and show you what I'm going to do over here.
Okay.
Your prop, which in this case is the couch. Okay, you're going to
Right.
sit at the edge of the couch. You're going to slide down. So this is your position. This, of course, keep in mind, this is an intermediate level. And you can use the same concepts. You can do single leg and you can use a weight, etc. in the same position.
Right.
It's a little harder on the couch.
Right.
So as you can see, I've anchored my upper back on the couch. You can keep your arms out for balance if you choose. You don't need to if you don't want to.
Okay.
Okay, and then it's the exact same thing. You can go lower this way, go all the way up, squeeze your butt on top. And like I said earlier, you can switch over to single leg if you are a lot fitter
Right.
than the beginner intensity. So the
Right.
same thing, you can suspend the leg, go all the way up, which is way harder.
That is
So
very hard.
yeah, and of course it incorporates balancing aspect as well. Keep
Right.
in mind, this is with limited equipment. This is for beginner to intermediate level, so it's suitable
Right.
to your audience. And like I said, we covered the squat earlier. It covers the thigh muscles, the lower body muscles. It strengthens the hips, even the back to an extent, even the ankles, and specifically the knees to an extent. This one over here covers more of the posterior side of the body,
Right.
the lower back, which forms an integral part of the core, the glutes, obviously, which help you stay upright and help you balance, which also work together with the thighs and to an extent the hamstrings.
Okay.
Now, the third exercise is also a hip extension variation.
Okay.
You need to hold the also works the glutes like the hip extension, but the variation that I'm going to show you guys also addresses directly the hamstrings.
Okay.
for a better effect, which essentially help the knees as well.
Okay.
So I'm going to show you the hamstring variation of the hip extension. I call this exercise the leg curl. There is no name for it as such.
Okay.
So I'm just going to get into position and show you this exercise. What you want to do is, yeah, so once again, you get into this position. Like I said, this addresses the hamstrings more. So if you can see my feet,
Yeah.
they are further away from my hips, much further away, okay,
Yeah.
which targets the hamstrings better. If you can see my feet, as you can see, my heels are down and my toes are up, okay, for a better hamstring contraction. Can you see my feet?
Yeah. I can see the ankles and.
Yeah, so as you can see, my toes are pointed up, my feet are further away from the butt. Everything else stays the same, arms are down. But this is more of a hold. So, what I would recommend is you start off with 30 seconds to 60 seconds, eventually build up to 5 or 7 minutes.
Okay.
After which you can scale by, like I said, you can add a weight. A similar concept, you can do it on a single leg to scale it up.
Okay.
And if you get really fit doing this kind of stuff, your lower body is strong, you can do single leg with a weight on your lap. So I'm just going to show you the basic one for now. It's the same thing. I'm going to reiterate, this is more of a hold that you're going to time. So you start your timer, get into position, and this is the raise position. The point of this exercise is more to do with, it's more focused on the hamstrings than the glutes.
Right.
You achieve that, like I said, reiterating, with the feet further away and the toes pointed up. Okay,
Okay.
that addresses the hamstrings as well as the glutes, which are the muscles behind the quads out here.
Right.
Okay, so that is the third exercise. And now we're going to focus a little more on the posterior core,
Okay.
which we did with the hip extension. But another great exercise for the posterior core, even to an extent your upper back, is the Superman extension,
Okay.
which, as you may imagine, is the Superman position on the floor. So I'm
Right.
going to get onto the floor for the lower back
Right.
body weight exercise, which you can do at home. The Superman. Get down here. You get into the. Can you see me?
Yeah.
So you get into the Superman position with your arms straight ahead. This is your starting position. Now, for a beginner, what I would recommend is starting with just the lower body or the upper body. So if you start with just the lower body, it looks like this. Raise your legs high, squeeze the butt. Don't bend the knees too much. Once again, this is how you do it.
Okay.
This is not a fast exercise. The point is to go as high as you can. As you can see, my thighs lifting off the floor. Squeeze the butt, come down slow. The lower body part of it. The upper body
Right.
part of it is this, which is focused a bit more on the upper back as well. So you squeeze your shoulder blades together, lift your chest off the floor like this with your arms straight. And if you're comfortable doing both together, the full exercise involves the upper and the lower body. So you want to raise the entire torso off the floor. Essentially, the only part of your body that's on the floor is the belly. So this is what it looks like.
Okay.
Go down slow, or you can even go up and hold. To make this a little challenging, everybody has access to Amazon now. You can
Right.
get a pair of light half or 1 kilo dumbbells. If you can see what I'm holding right here. Can you
Yeah.
see these?
Yes.
So the same thing, you raise, do the exact same thing with weights. Okay?
Okay.
So that is the Superman exercise. Another variation of this, which engages the upper back a little more, is called the Superman swimmer. I'm not going to demo that for because of a lack of space, but it's the same thing. Hold the upright position of the Superman. Supposing you're in Superman now, your thighs and your chest are off the floor, your arms are straight ahead. You need to, without bending your arms, without bending the elbows, take your arms all the way around to your hips while in the upright position.
Okay.
Bring them back in the front. And like I said, you can build up with 5 reps, 10 reps. You can even build up to 50 to 60 reps. You can switch over to using light dumbbells while doing the exact same thing. We can share the videos of form for these exercises with you guys later for reference.
Yeah.
So this specific variation, the Superman swimmer, it engages the same muscles as the Superman does, the lower back muscles, the glute muscles. All
Right.
these help with stability, balance, and lower body strength. And of course, they help with bone strength as well. But the Superman swimmer also focuses a bit more on the upper back.
Okay.
Okay. Now we can't completely ignore the upper body and the front core muscles, the ab muscles. So a great upper body pushing muscle exercise, very basic level, is the high plank. It also engages the core muscles, which also help with stability and balance. So the
Okay.
high plank position is pretty straightforward. I'm going to demo that position. Once again, this exercise has to be timed. So you can
Okay.
do sets of specific amounts of time that you can do until you hit failure on the high plank exercise is essentially the push-up position. Can you see the floor?
Yeah.
So you get onto the floor with your hands under the shoulders. Your feet are over here together. Straighten your back. Keep your neck neutral to your spine. You don't want to hyperextend the neck. You don't want to let the hips sag. You don't want to bend the knees. You want to stay straight and squared. You can do it in front of a mirror. Obviously, you have your time on. This works the upper body to an extent, the abs to an extent. Also good for stability and balance as one gets older. And you want to make it a bit harder. You can do the exact same thing with one leg suspended. Do the same amount of time on the left leg, same amount of time on the right leg. To make that a little harder, you can do once again one leg suspended, or you can just drop down lower and do the elbow or the low plank, which
Right.
I'm sure you guys know about.
Yeah.
This is the plank. Like I said, single leg would look like this.
Okay.
Okay, so these are great stability and balancing exercises. They focus on the core more. And like I said to you earlier, we're primarily covering the core and the lower body. You
Right.
can put all these exercises into a set pattern. You can do 5 to 6 sets of each. You can build up the reps. You can scale them the way I said you could. And like I said, we can share the whole program with you guys,
Yeah.
which essentially is great for anyone who wants to prevent osteoporosis.
Right. Thank you
So
so
that's
much.
essentially the exercise routine, and we can also share some stretches with you guys afterwards to improve mobility around these joints,
Right.
which you
And
can
these
do after your workout.
exercises can be done every day. So all the exercises that you just demonstrated. So that's safe to do every single day as part of your routine.
Yeah,
Okay.
you
Amazing.
can do these every single day. You don't need 48 hours to recover from these exercises.
Okay.
Or once you reach a high enough intensity and you're doing it the way we mentioned as far as the scaling is concerned, if you're doing the high levels of these exercises, I would potentially recommend doing these 4 times a week. On
Okay.
the off days, on the 2 or 3 off days that you don't do these exercises, you don't follow the routine, the other great thing that you can do is obviously cardiovascular exercises. The most
Right.
basic form is walking or brisk walking. You can do slope walking to challenge your legs and your core more. You can also do stair climbing. The thing about stair climbing that gets a little tricky is coming down too hard. So what I would
Right.
recommend to anybody who is pre-osteoporotic or anyone who has slightly weaker bones or anyone who's trying to prevent full-blown osteoporosis, I would recommend taking one step at a time with your entire foot on the step, climbing up a set number of stairs, floors, flights, whatever, building it up really slowly. But the key is, like I said, is to not really come down because that's where the impact and damage could potentially cause strain on your joints. So what I would
Right.
recommend is on cardio days when you're not doing this routine, what I would recommend is you do rounds of wherever you walk, your building or the park, brisk walking, potentially include a slope if you can,
Right.
and a few stair climbing ascents. So you could potentially climb up floors, use the lift to come back down if your knees are a little iffy. Or
Okay.
if you're comfortable, you can take one step at a time, come down without causing too much impact on the knees. So a
Okay.
combination of the stretches that we're going to provide you guys with, the routine that I just explained, we can give you a breakup of it. And the cardiovascular routine is what encompasses a great exercise routine that can be done at home by anybody to help prevent osteoporosis or to build up the lower body and core muscles and the bones.
Amazing. Thank you so much for, showing us all these exercises and talking us through each one of them. I think it was really,
Sure.
really valuable.